Let me hit you with something that stopped me cold the first time I read it. 78% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Not 78% of the homeless population, not 78% of minimum wage workers, 78% of everyone, including people making six figures, including your neighbor with the nice car, including, statistically speaking, there's a real chance you. And here's what's even more unsettling. That number hasn't moved meaningfully in 30 years. We've had the internet revolution, the smartphone revolution, the crypto boom, the real estate boom, the stock market hitting all-time high after all-time high, and somehow nearly 8 out of 10 people are still one missed paycheck away from genuine crisis. So either people are uniquely, personally, individually bad with money, or there's something else going on. I want to argue today, and I'm going to back this up with data, with psychology, and with a framework that completely changed how I think about building wealth, that it's the second one. That there are forces, structures, and systems that are actively designed to keep money flowing away from you and towards someone else. And the most dangerous part, they work best when you can't see them. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This is business model design. And once I show you how it works, you'll never look at your bank account the same way again. Think about the last time you walked into a casino. Or better yet, think about what a casino looks like. No windows, no clocks. The exits are hidden. The food is cheap. The oxygen is pumped in just a little bit higher. Every single design decision, every carpet pattern, every sound effect, every machine placement is engineered by psychologists and architects specifically to keep you inside, keep you spending, and keep you from realizing how much time has passed. Now I want you to hold that image. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Your bank isn't neutral. It's not just a safe place that holds your money like a responsible vault. It's a business, and its product is you. Your bank makes money when you overdraft, when you carry a credit card balance, when you take out a loan you barely qualify for at a rate that sounds manageable until you do the math, when you keep your savings in a 0.01% interest account while they loan that same money out at 7%, 12%, 24%. Wait, but aren't banks regulated? Don't they have to act in our interest? Great question. No. Regulated does not mean aligned with your goals. A cigarette company is regulated. McDonald's is regulated. Regulation means there are rules. It doesn't mean the game is fair. And banks aren't even the most sophisticated player in this ecosystem. Let's talk about the real architect of your financial anxiety. Advertising. In 2023, American companies spent over $400 billion on advertising. That's not money spent informing you. That's money spent reshaping your desires. The average American is exposed to somewhere between 4,000 and 10,000 advertisements every single day. And the sole purpose of every single one of those exposures is to make you feel like your current life is slightly insufficient and that this product, this subscription, this upgrade will close the gap. This is not an accident. This is the machine. And the machine runs on your discontent. Here's the curiosity gap I want to plant in your brain right now, because we're going to crack this open in part 2. There is a specific psychological trigger, well documented in behavioral economics, that makes middle-income earners worse at building wealth than lower-income earners in many measurable scenarios. It's not about intelligence. It's not about discipline. It's about a cognitive trap that gets more powerful the more money you make. And the financial industry profits from this trap every single day without ever having to explain it to you. We're going to call it the visibility trap. And it's the reason why most people who finally start making real money end up with almost nothing to show for it 10 years later. But before we get there, let me tell you what minimalist money actually means, because it's not what most people think. It's not about deprivation. It's not about eating ramen and never going on vacation. It's not about being the person who lectures their friends at dinner about how much the restaurant markup is on that glass of wine. Minimalist money is about ruthless clarity on what your money is doing when you're not watching it. It's about building a system so simple, so lean, so structurally sound that your financial stability runs in the background like an operating system while you live your actual life in the foreground. The people who are financially stable, not rich, not lucky, just stable, aren't smarter than you. They have a different architecture. And today, we're going to build yours. Stay with me, because the math we're about to do in the next section is going to... Let me introduce you to someone. We'll call him Marcus. Marcus is 29. He just landed his first real salary job, $65,000 a year. After taxes, he's taking home roughly $4,100 a month. That feels good. That feels like progress. For years, Marcus was grinding, and now finally there's real money coming in. So Marcus does what feels natural. He upgrades his apartment, gets a car payment that matches his new income level, starts eating out more because he earned it, buys nicer clothes because image matters, especially at work, gets a streaming service, then another. Then a gym membership he uses 4 times before it becomes a monthly subscription to guilt. But Marcus is making $65,000. He should be fine, right? Let's do the math. And I want you to follow this closely because this is where most financial content completely fails you. They talk in vague percentages. We're going to talk in actual dollars. Monthly take-home, $4,100. Rent upgrade, $1,400. Car payment plus insurance, $650. Groceries and food delivery, $600. Subscriptions, streaming, gym, $180. Phone, $90. Going out, social life, treating himself, $400. Miscellaneous, the random stuff that somehow always appears, $250. That's $3,570 in baseline monthly expenses, which leaves Marcus $530 a month. Now, here's where it gets psychologically fascinating, because $530 isn't nothing. Marcus doesn't feel broke. He goes out on weekends. He's not panicking. His credit score is decent. But $530 a month invested consistently over 10 years at a 7% return, the historical stock market average gives Marcus roughly $87,000. Compare that to someone who made less structural decisions, who kept their lifestyle at $2,800 a month and invested $1,300 monthly. Same income, same time, their result at the same 7% return over 10 years? Approximately $214,000. Same salary, same decade, $127,000 difference, just from the architecture of the choices. This is what we call lifestyle creep, and it is the single most underestimated destroyer of generational wealth among the middle class. And here's the psychological reason it happens. Because this isn't about willpower. This is brain science. There's a cognitive bias called hedonic adaptation. It means that no matter what level of comfort or income you reach, your brain recalibrates its baseline within weeks. That rush of satisfaction you got from the apartment upgrade, gone in 60 days? The car? You barely notice it after 3 months. The brain is wired to normalize up almost instantly and to scream in pain when asked to normalize down. This is why lottery winners aren't statistically happier 2 years after winning. This is why celebrities go bankrupt. This is why Marcus, despite earning more than he ever has in his life, somehow doesn't feel wealthy. The financial industry knows this. That's why credit card companies don't call them debt traps. They call them rewards programs. They tie dopamine spikes points, cashback, exclusive access to the act of spending money you don't have on things you don't need to impress people who won't remember. Now let me give you the framework. I call it the 3-3-3 minimalist stack. It's simple by design. Simple is the point. 3 fixed financial pillars: housing, transport, food. These 3 categories should never collectively exceed 50% of your take-home income. If they do, you don't have a spending problem. You have a structural problem, and no budgeting app in the world will fix it. You either need to increase income, reduce one of those pillars, or both. 3 automatic moves that happen the day you get paid. Before you touch your money, before you check your balance, 10% goes to long-term investments. 10% goes to an emergency buffer, a separate account you actively make boring and hard to access. 10% goes toward a deliberate life fund, not a guilt fund. A real one: vacations, experiences, things that actually produce documented happiness in behavioral research. 3-month rule on any non-essential purchase above $200. If you still want it in 3 months, you buy it. No guilt. Fully budgeted. If you forget about it, and research shows you'll forget about roughly 60% of these impulse desires, you just kept $200 plus in your investment account. Back to Marcus. If Marcus had known this framework at 29, if someone had sat him down and shown him this architecture before he signed that lease, he wouldn't have needed a higher salary. He wouldn't have needed a side hustle. He wouldn't have needed to sacrifice his lifestyle. He would have needed a system. And that's the shift. From willpower to system. From discipline to architecture. From hoping you make good decisions under pressure to building a structure where the good decisions happen automatically. Because here's the brutal truth about financial discipline. Willpower is a limited resource. Every financial decision you make drains it slightly. Decision fatigue is real, measurable, and exploited commercially every single day. That's why the most expensive items in a grocery store are at eye level. That's why Amazon has one-click purchasing. That's why your bank puts the available balance, including credit number, first. The system is designed for your exhausted, decision-depleted brain. The minimalist money framework is designed for your intentional, automated, rested state self. I want to start this section with a question that sounds philosophical but is actually deeply practical. Who is building your financial future right now? At this exact moment. Not when you get your next raise. Not after you pay off the credit card. Not when things calm down. Right now, today. In the background of your ordinary life, what structures are working on your behalf? For most people, the honest answer is none, or worse, the wrong ones. Subscriptions are renewing. Interest is compounding against you. Lifestyle inflation is eating the raise you haven't even gotten yet. But here's what nobody tells you, and this is the core of everything I want you to walk away with today. The wealthy don't just make more money, they build more systems. And systems, once built correctly, work 24 hours a day without your attention, your anxiety, or your willpower. Let me give you the 3-step plan. Not theory, not motivation, concrete, sequential actions. Open every single account you have, every subscription, every recurring charge. Go back 90 days in your bank and credit card statements and write down, not type, write down every recurring expense. What you'll find in this process almost always surprises people. The average American has between 3 and 5 subscriptions they've completely forgotten about. That's anywhere from $50 to $200 a month, leaving silently, automatically, invisibly. This is money that is not building anything for you. It's a leak in the hull of your financial ship, and you can't bail water fast enough if you're not fixing the leaks first. Do the audit. Kill everything that doesn't actively improve your daily life in a way you can name out loud. Not, I might use it. Not, it's only $12. Name the value or lose the charge. This is the 3-3-3 minimalist stack in practice. On the day you set this up, not later, not after the next paycheck, now you are going to create 3 automatic transfers that trigger within 24 hours of your income hitting your account. Your investment transfer, your emergency buffer transfer, your life fund transfer. You do not budget around these. You do not see how the month goes. These leave first. Everything else, rent, food, fun, Netflix, whatever is budgeted from what remains. This is called paying yourself first. And it sounds cliche because it's been said 1,000 times, but what nobody explains is why it's structurally different from just saving what's left over. When you save what's left over, you are making a decision every single month under the maximum pressure of having already spent most of your money. When you automate the transfer up front, you make one decision under zero pressure, and then that decision executes itself perfectly every single month. Whether you're motivated or not, whether you're stressed or not, whether you remembered or not, the system runs, you live. For the next 18 months, not forever, just 18 months, you commit to 0 structural upgrades. No apartment upgrade, no car upgrade. No, well, my salary went up, so my lifestyle should go up too, logic. Here's why this timeline is specifically 18 months. Behavioral research consistently shows that it takes between 12 and 18 months of consistent new financial behavior to create what psychologists call a new reference point, a recalibrated baseline for what normal feels like. After 18 months of living within your current structure, while your automated wealth systems compound in the background, 2 things happen. First, you'll have built a meaningful financial cushion, potentially your first real one. Second, and more profoundly, your brain will have adapted to a new baseline. The upgrade that used to feel necessary will feel optional. The lifestyle creep that used to feel inevitable will feel like a choice you're consciously making or not making. That's the power shift, from being pulled by desire to choosing from clarity. Now let me tell you something that goes deeper than spreadsheets and savings rates. Something that the most financially stable people I've ever studied, not the flashiest, not the wealthiest by headline numbers, but the most structurally secure, all seem to understand intuitively. Financial stability is not a destination. It's a posture. Think about a building. What makes a skyscraper survive a windstorm isn't being the heaviest structure or the most expensive one. It's the foundation design. It's the invisible engineering below the surface, the steel reinforcement buried in concrete that nobody ever sees, that nobody ever photographs, that never trends on Instagram. The visible world rewards display. The invisible world rewards structure. And this is what I call the shadow architecture of wealth, the hidden mechanisms that quietly, consistently, invisibly build financial power in the background of a life that looks completely ordinary on the surface. No flex, no performance, just foundation. The person living in that modest apartment for the 3rd year in a row, not because they can't afford to upgrade, but because they chose the foundation over the display, is building something the person in the luxury apartment with 0 investments will spend their 40s desperately trying to recreate from scratch. The shadow is not something to be afraid of. The shadow is where the real work happens. The shadow is where your future self is being built. Quietly, automatically, while everyone else performs their financial life for an audience that isn't paying their bills. This is the mindset shift at the heart of minimalist money. You stop building your financial life for the viewing angle. You start building it for the load-bearing capacity. Not what it looks like from the outside, what it can hold from the inside. And when you make that shift genuinely, not just intellectually, but in your actual recurring transfers and your actual spending structure, something remarkable happens. The financial anxiety that has been the background noise of your entire adult life starts to quiet down. Not because you're rich, but because you know the architecture is sound. You know the foundation is being reinforced automatically every single month. Whether you think about it or not, that's financial stability, not a number in an account, a structural reality in your life. So here's where I want to leave you. You started this video as a person who may have felt like the system was working against you, and I want to confirm it is. The machine is real. The psychological traps are real. The invisible financial currents pulling your money away from you every single month are real. But here's what's also real. You now know how it works. And knowledge of the mechanism is the beginning of power over it. You have the 333 minimalist stack. You have the 3-step implementation plan. You have the understanding of why your brain makes these traps feel natural and why building a system bypasses the brain entirely. The only question left is whether you treat this video as content you consumed or as a blueprint you actually build. Marcus, the version of Marcus who found this framework at 29 is 39 now. He didn't become a millionaire overnight. He didn't go viral. He didn't hustle 80 hours a week. He automated his 3 transfers, did his 90-day audit, held his lifestyle flat for 18 months, and then made a conscious, structured choice to upgrade one thing at a time from a position of actual surplus. He's not flashy. He's free. And that kind of freedom, the quiet, invisible, load-bearing kind, is available to you. Not someday. Not after the next raise. Right now, with what you already have. Starting today, the gate to financial stability was never locked. You just needed to see where it was. If this hit different, if something in here rearranged something for you, share this with one person who needs to hear it. Not for the algorithm, for them. And if you're ready to go deeper, the next video is going to break down exactly how compound interest becomes your silent business partner, and why starting with even $50 a month changes the mathematical outcome of your entire life. The foundation is waiting. Let's build.